Rise and shine to our BTV viewers and welcome to your Friday edition of Rise with BTV. My name is Tigizwa Vilagazi and I will be your morning anchor as my team and I help you get your weekend started on the right foot. This week, we bring you another story from someone who feels a little unsure about whether or not they were in the wrong in their situation. Be sure to let us know what you think in the comment section below. Good morning and welcome to The Corner. The question on today's reader's mind is, am I wrong for kicking out my boyfriend's 19-year-old daughter? Be sure to let us know what you think in the comment section. My boyfriend of 3 years moved into my home 3 weeks ago after his lease went up and he was unable to renew with the price hike that they expected. I have a 3-bedroom home and one son who is 11 years old. Both his room and my room have an attached bathroom. The guest room does not. We have lived here for 5 years and I bought it last year. My boyfriend has a 19-year-old daughter who visits him on weekends and lives at home with her mother. Literally, we've never had any issues with her up until my boyfriend moved in. When he moved in, she started becoming a snob who had demand after demand that she fully expected me to meet. Like when she first moved in, she wanted me to kick my son out of his room so that she could have the room with the attached bathroom, stating that a boy didn't need a bathroom as much as a girl did. When I said absolutely not, she got extremely rude and condescending whenever she was in my home. She also tried parenting my son on one or more occasions, telling him what he can and cannot do, what he can and cannot watch on TV, and also what he can and cannot snack on. There have been times when he was trying to talk and she would butt in and say something like, "How kids are so freaking annoying." If I speak up to her, she says, "I don't believe I was talking to you," or she'd roll her eyes at me. Bold for someone who does not pay any rent or food to be staying in my home. I told her father last week that either he gets a handle on his adult kid or she was getting booted to the curb. He immediately starts telling me that I need to give her time because this is an adjustment for her and that apparently she is having a hard time at her mom's house due to them arguing all the time. I told her father last week that either he gets a handle on his adult kid or she gets booted to the curb. He immediately starts telling me I need to give her time because this is an adjustment for her and that apparently she is having a hard time at her mom's house due to them arguing all the time. I told her father last week that either he gets a handle on his adult kid or she was getting booted to the curb. He immediately starts telling me that I need to give her time because this is an adjustment for her and that apparently she is having a hard time at her mom's house due to them arguing all the time. I told him that this isn't my problem and that in my house, my son and I weren't going to be treated in such a way because she can't get control of her emotions and wants to take her resentment out on us. He said he would talk to her. His talk did nothing at all. In fact, she confronted me about it and said, "I don't know what game you're playing here, but respect is earned and not given, and I will not be granting you respect until you prove to me that you deserve it." She then walks to the living room where my son was watching TV and takes the remote from him and tells him to move. At this point, I go in and I immediately tell her to get out of my house. She tells me she isn't going anywhere because her dad lives here, so I end up calling her uncle, who is a police officer, and have her escorted from my house after she collected all her belongings. My boyfriend says I crossed a line, so I told him he can leave too. He currently isn't speaking to me, locked away in my bedroom. BTV, am I wrong? a Friday without a perfect cocktail to end your week and start your weekend on the right foot? Join us at the beautiful Lamontine Resort as Kenneth hooks us up with some killer cocktails from their menu.
Hi guys, once again, I'm here, Kenneth. I just want to explain about Lamontine's drink. It's a nice cocktail. What goes in now, a shot of grenadine, just a shot of Smirnoff, whatever. Even if you want, you can choose whatever you want to put inside, like Bacardi, it depends. But after that, put your ice. After you put your ice, pour orange juice, then you blend blue curacao on top with some ice, then you put on top, you put your garnish, everything like this. That's how it goes into Lamontine's drink. Doesn't go anything like so many ingredients. It's just a simple cocktail, but look nice. That's it, guys.
How refreshing is that? What a great way to start off your weekend.
So head on over to Lamontine to try the delicious cocktails, and we'll see you next week.
Who's in the zoo was the question that was on our tongues as we took a trip down to the Flag Animal Farm. Stay tuned for some excitement.
Hi everybody, I'm Jen from Flag Animal Farm, and this is the mighty Blackjack. As you can see, he's a naughty little dude that looks like a pom-pom. So Blackjack was saved 2 k's away from the farm. It was quite a sad little story. So he was shooed out of his little environment and placed into a banana plantation. And he was nibbling all the crops on the side. And some guys came along and they hurt him over here on his face. If you look close, you can see all his scar tissue over here. He's blind in the left eye and he can't breathe through his nose. Look at his little nosy over here. He actually has to breathe through his mouth. So he can't run properly. And what makes me absolutely love this guy, I call him my pom-pom, is the fact that he's so nosy. If you drive your van onto the farm and you leave your door open, guess who tries to get inside your van? And my boy, you love coming into my office to sniff all my paperwork. He's the most inquisitive and nosy little chap you'll ever meet at Flag Farm. And one thing about a pony, even though he's so small, the cost of owning a pony is so huge. Just him alone is about $3,500 a month to look after, because it's not just about feeding him, it's about the grooming, it's about his teeth care, his foot care. We've got to get his little hooves clipped. Actually tomorrow Doomie's coming to do the little hooves, and he loves his nails being done. Here's my boy. and we only feed them equi-feeds, which is the best food. Now little Blackjack, the reason why I named him Blackjack is because he was covered in blackjacks when I saved him, and we had to walk him here, which took just over 3 hours to walk him 2 kilometers because he was so hurt. So just have a look again at his little eye over here. But the most amazing thing is he knows he's safe. He's quite naughty, but he is so loved. And that's what I love about Flag Farm, is the animals feel totally content. Thank you guys for meeting naughty Blackjack, and come along and visit him.
Watch out, Belito, there's a new queen in town. Melissa Landman joins us in studio as we recap on her journey to being crowned Miss Belito 2022. Good morning and welcome to Rise with BTV. Today I am filled with so much joy and excitement as I, your ex-Miss Belito, introduce to you your very new Miss Belito, Melissa Landman. Welcome, Melissa. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
It's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. How cool is it that the ex-Miss Belito and I get to interview the new one?
Oh, I love it, honestly.
The
meant
first
to be.
ever. And we're even matching.
I know.
So let's get right to it, Melissa. So obviously I was there for some of the events throughout your journey. I watched you grow, but from your own perspective, what was the journey like?
I think it was just so fun being able to gain new sisters, you know. It is people we've never met before in Belito, so we all just managed to make new friendships, and we've done a couple of workshops together about growth and finding your values, what you want to do. So it's just been a lot of reflection, and yeah, we've honestly just made such a bond with each other and the community. Yeah, it was just amazing in general.
Yeah, you know what I like the most about what you just said is it kind of reminds you, like, yes, Belito is a very small town, but then the competition itself or the pageant itself opens you up to so many new people that you didn't even know were there before. Even engaging with sponsors and everyone, it's like, whoa, I didn't know these people were here, but they're there, right there.
Yeah, it was, for me, the best part was just being able to network and step out of my shell.
Yeah.
I spoke to so many different businesses. For our sponsorship, you know, you had to get a minimum of 2, but I went out there, I asked about 30 businesses
And
to
you got a
sponsor.
whopping 10.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have accomplished that if I didn't go ask every single person. And even though some people said no, you know, it was just nice to actually meet them and be aware of their business.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's lucky to stay local, you know, so I got their name out and people now in Belito can support them, you know, that's very important.
Because they know where to find them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool, Mel. So how did it feel when you were crowned?
Oh, it was all the emotions. I was so excited, but I was about to shed a tear because, you know.
Yeah, I saw you
know,
almost cried.
I know. I was quite sad, like, because I've known you for the past couple of months, and it's like, I can't believe, you know, you handing this crown over to me. So it was just, yeah, I was very emotional throughout the whole night, you know.
Yeah.
The excitement was up there, you know, but yeah, it was a very crazy day.
Yeah, it was a pretty
beautiful.
emotional night.
Yes.
Hey, like I even said it before I got on stage, all the makeup was gone here because
Yeah.
I was crying. I was like, I need to hand it over. I can't do
Yeah.
it. And then they were like, Melissa Luntman, and I was like, yes.
Aw.
So Mel, after the crowning, what have you been up to now?
So I'm working closely with the twins, Chantal and Micheline. They are the first and second princess. We've just been planning, and we've got so many different ideas about how to move forward for the next year. Our whole goal is to keep that sisterhood going, especially for the next year's finalists, and just show Belito that it is a beauty pageant, but at the same time, it has so many more elements to it.
Definitely.
The biggest component is community service, it's networking, it's making friends, it's just stepping out of your shell and growing as a person with other young ladies that have the same idea.
Yeah.
So that's our goal, and yeah, we've just been getting ourselves involved with the Miss Belito Teens. I recently visited a couple of my sponsors.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, you know, showing how grateful I am to people at the moment. But yeah, it's been fun the last few days.
And you've been doing a great job with
Oh,
that.
thank you.
What were some of the prizes that you won?
So today I'm actually wearing some of my prizes. So this jersey over here, which I love, is from Snug Linen. My watch that I got, it's a guest watch, is from Dolphin Coast Watch and Jewelry
Look
Co.
at you.
Yeah, we've been spoiled this year. I got a voucher for the guy, which he does beautiful picnics. Yeah, and then Skin Renewal, which just opened, Torga Optical. There's just so many businesses that put in a little voucher or a little gift, you know.
But it will go a long way
Yes,
throughout
it
your
does.
day.
Yeah. So it's all about, you know, just upkeeping yourself and yeah, getting the word out.
That's very nice, Mel. So in closing, as our new representative of Belito, what message do you have for the public and for everyone out there?
I definitely think it's worth stepping out of your comfort zone and growing as a person. So go meet new people, go talk to businesses, see how you can help them, see how you can help the community. You know, it doesn't need to be a big team. Just add in your little bit somewhere. It goes a long way, and people definitely notice.
That was beautiful, Mel. Thank you so much for joining us in studio today. I'm so excited to start this journey with you because I'm not going anywhere.
Good, you shouldn't be.
My new younger sister. Or are
Aw.
you even younger? I doubt. Belito, keep an eye out for our new queen. We will see you soon.
US Navy jet pilot called the generosity and kindness of our phenomenal community. To our finalists, we hope that the chutes we have all helped pack will carry you through the bumps and sometimes turbulent times. But if you need to cut away when the going gets tough, do so without fear. For your reserve, we have packed that too, tightly with the utmost of care. I've been told by my husband, who's done more than 1,000 jobs, that if you pack a chute loosely and without care, the opening is rough and jerky. So we took our time and made sure that everything was in its correct place, folded neatly, really tight. So the rest, they say, is completely up to you. Take a moment, all of you, and have a look at this beautiful chute that I have behind me. It's strong, it's beautiful, it's powerful, and it's packed with precision. And I know that we are going to have a safe landing. Thank you so much for everything you have taught us, the friendships that have blossomed, and the amazing memories we now have captured in our hearts forever. We are so proud of the chutes you have already cracked. Just listening to your charity projects and following your stories on social media have inspired us to dig a little deeper. It's always sad to say goodbye, but it's time to spread your wings and fly. You are all packed and ready. Just remember that no matter what happens tonight, you're all winners. So go out there and keep on shining your light and sparkle.
And it's draining all on me, and I'm finding it hard to believe I'll be wearing these eyes for everyone to see. I don't care what they say, I'm in love with you. They try to pull me away, but they don't know. Because you're mine.
Belito came at a time in my life when I felt like I really needed to grow and push myself beyond the space that I was in. I don't know how many of us are familiar with the concept of God doesn't give you what you prayed for directly, but rather He gives you an opportunity to get that for yourself. And that's exactly what this journey has proven to be in my life. I went from being a young, timid girl with so much ambition, but absolutely zero confidence to go out and chase my dreams. And in the past year, I've become the ultimate go-getter and dream chaser. When I entered, I don't think I quite understood just how life-changing this platform could be for me. This platform has created an opportunity for me in my own career as a filmmaker, where it's opened a door for me to work for Belito TV, a new family that is so gladly adopted. Furthermore, I was also approached to represent South Africa in New York in 2 years' time as a model at the New York International Film. As the proud president of Rotaract Zimbabwe, and just on that note, I would also like to congratulate Nataria Murrigan and Maresha Dani for being our treasurer and our secretary. The most rewarding aspect of this journey for me was growing to be an inspiration to other young people. Hearing how many people have since been inspired to reach their dreams fills my heart every single time. During the competition, I started a charity project which was focused on schools and the youth, because that's where my heart lies. Throughout my reign, I've continued to take part in projects that touch young people's hearts, even in the smallest ways, such as contributing towards someone's national rugby tour, or even coaching someone to be a model in the future.
We got so much left to do in this world, just me and you. So hold on, we're leaving soon. River of love gone to the sea, the water rippling.
Ladies and gentlemen, this Belito 2022.
So take my hand.
Melissa Lundgren.
Morning sports fans, I have the honor and privilege of welcoming Mr. Jimmy Stonehouse, the 2022 Currie Cup winning coach, to you down here in Ballito. A bit of a scoop for BTV. Good afternoon, Mr. Stonehouse. How are you doing?
Hi, good day, Matt, and good day to all the listeners.
Thank you so much, Meneer. Awesome. Before we get going, let's just learn a little bit more about Jimmy. As a player, he played for Southeastern Transvaal during his playing days. He was also a teacher at Hoërskool Ermelo between 1984 and 1997, and achieved coaching success with their first team, guiding them to the finals of the Directors' Trophy in 1992, and then the semi-finals of the same competition the next year. He was also the coach of Southeastern Transvaal's Craven Week Under-19 side from 1990 to 1992, and again from 1994 to 1997. Okay, Jim, if you could just let us know in terms of your playing career, sort of how that ended and why you made the change, shifted into coaching.
Yes, obviously, Southeastern Transvaal is now known as the Pumas. I played for them, and then starting with the coaching, which I enjoyed quite a lot. And yes, and then I had an opportunity of becoming a director of rugby and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so it took a lot of my time, and then I had to make a decision on building a career, because at that time you don't get paid for rugby. You drive from Ermelo to Woodbank to play. Sure. That took you 2 hours every evening driving there and 2 hours back. So yeah, at that stage I decided to stop playing rugby.
And then sort of just focus on your coaching career. Was that always sort of a goal of yours in mind?
You know what, when I wanted to go to the army, that was my biggest thing in life I wanted to do. And then I got an injury in my right knee, and that forced me first to go in teaching. And then I started coaching in that the same year and enjoyed it so much, playing in a final for our province. And then, yeah, that just bite me and I keep on coaching.
That's awesome, Jim. Then you joined Pretoria-based secondary school, Hoërskool Waterkloof, as their director of rugby, as you said, from the start of 1998, guiding them to the Blue Bulls High School Championship in 2003, and again in 2007, the first time in 12 years. You also coached the Blue Bulls Craven Week team in 2003 and 2004. During that time, you also coached Russia Under-19 that participated in the FIRA European Under-19 tournament in France, guiding them to a plate competition victory. So just tell us firstly with that, what's your opinion on youth development from any sort of level, whether it be international or at school level?
Yeah, you know what, the youth is one of the most important things in our rugby setup. You know, if you don't coach the youth and you don't coach them correctly, they will struggle when they come into the seniors, because that's the guys that become the future Springboks. Yes. So yeah, and you know what, that was my biggest thing, why I took so long before I coached provincial rugby or professional rugby, because I love the kids and I love what I did. And then I stayed behind with all my fellow mates who became Springbok coaches and stuff. But yeah, because of the youth development, that took a lot of my time. I like to do that type of thing.
Yeah, and obviously a big passion of yours. And just chat to me a little bit about your sort of early success as a coach.
What coaching the Craven Week for so long, the Southeastern Transvaal side at Southeastern Transvaal and at the Blue Bulls, I knew I had a career in coaching, and I did fairly well on every Craven Week. I did very well with the school teams. You know, Ermelo High School was a very small school, but we compete against the big guys, and so with Waterkloof as well. So that was very important for me to do really great. And yeah, you know what, guys like Jake White, Frans Ludeke, Heineke Meyer, we were in the same era. They went on, they left school, and I stayed behind because I wanted to coach the school teams. And yeah, maybe that's why it took me so long to get professional.
Oh, that's fine. That's actually leading me to my next question. And how do you feel like the old-fashioned, for want of a better word, and disciplined approach at youth level has led to your success currently?
Yeah, you know what, if I look always in the media, they talk about the no-nonsense coach. But it is what it is, you know. If you've got respect for people, time is everything, and that's where the biggest thing of in my whole career started. I'm still the same person I've been 40 years back on discipline, and coaching the youth that same way, because that's what life after rugby is about. It's about discipline. If you don't have the discipline after rugby, then you won't make a great career. So yeah. being how I am and coaching how I am with discipline, because that's my biggest success in life is discipline. I will always stick to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, if we could just move on now and chat about, you also coached the Russian seven side that qualified for the 2001 Rugby World Cup sevens, and it's quite current at the moment with the Blitzboks about to partake in that, and you won the plate final. So can you give us a bit more info about that journey?
Yeah, you know what? I was still at Waterkloof when Russia under 19 team came to South Africa. That they trained here, and then they needed someone to help them to coach them a little bit. So I did that, and then we played a curtain raiser for the Bulls, and we won tikkies with that Russia under 19 side. And then they made me an offer and took me to the World Cup with the under 19s, and then they asked me to coach them in the sevens because I played in this. Also played a lot of sevens in the Winfield 7 Cup, and that year's Winfield was the sponsor. And then I coached the Russian seven side, and we qualified for the World Cup by beating France. We beat England, and then we qualified for the World Cup. And that was in 2001. And then we went to Mar del Plata in Argentina. And at that year, Serevi was still playing, Jonah Loma was playing, Bobby Skinstad was playing. Those were the name. Pichot from Argentina were playing, and that was also. And then I got an offer to coach Russia, a 15-side professional, but we couldn't get to a settlement, and then I didn't take that opportunity.
Sure, that's awesome. And before we move on to the next question, in your opinion, how do you think the sevens game has sort of changed since 21 years ago?
Yeah, I think the biggest changes, and now they contract guys just for sevens. So you get a better exposure and better time for training and preparation for sevens that you had in our days, because now having only an approach to contract 7 players gives you a better opportunity in what you want. And so, yeah, I don't think that the game changed that much, but the system changing from playing 15 and sevens. Nowadays, you can make your choice. And I believe being a sevens player first helps you quite a lot returning to 15s because of your work rate, your individual skills, your defense, your vision. So, yeah, obviously, I think sevens is a great tool to prepare for guys to get into the 15s as well.
Yeah, awesome. So now tell us, in 2004, you joined the club side Pretoria Harlequins on your return to South Africa in the Blue Bulls Carlton competition, guiding them to the semi-finals in 2006 for the first time in 22 years that they achieved that feat. You also were appointed the Blue Bulls Craven Week coach in 2007 and 8. Chat a little bit more about sort of having that international experience and coming back and how that helped you again with your experience in South Africa.
Yeah, you know what? It's great. That's the first time I got involved. While I was playing for my town, I was captain and coach. So you know how that goes. And then coming back, I got an opportunity at Harlequins Rugby Club. Was a great step up from school level to seniors. And obviously being involved with the Russian team, I always knew, my life will go to professional rugby. It was just a matter of time getting that right opportunity. And when I coached Harlequins, we did fairly well. And using that experience which I had from school level, you know what? I always say this: if you coach at school level and you're not at a big school, you've got to coach. You got to coach every position. You don't have the players. You got to make something out of nothing. And if you look at all the coaches, if you look at Heineke Meyer, Jake White, Frans Ludeker, all those guys, they wasn't a big school. I don't see Jeppe as a big school. I see Affies and Boyseye and Paul Jim as big schools. So all those coaches just came out of small schools, and they coach professional rugby at the moment. So yeah, school rugby helped me quite a lot. And then from school to senior rugby at a club level, that also gave me another vision before I went in the professional setup.
Okay, lekker. So in 2005 and 6, you also coached the Blue Bulls women's 7 side and the women's national 7 side that won a tournament in Uganda. Can you chat a little bit more about that experience as well? We know we just finished Women's Month, but every month should be Women's Month in my opinion. But yeah, again, what do you reckon sort of the levels have changed again, and what do you rate the South African women's 7 sides chances?
You know what? I think there's a big change as well, because now that they contract the women. But that was a great time when coaching that sevens team of the Blue Bulls. and then going to Uganda and won that African Cup with that ladies team, that Springbok team. So yeah, I think the same. The opportunity nowadays by contracting women, rugby will get more exposure for our ladies, and yeah, it's a tough one. There's a lot of people that doesn't like women rugby, but I think it's a great thing for them to get involved, and that's why the refereeing is going better. And yeah, I think it changed quite a lot. The game is much faster for them. They understand the game better in our days because they start playing at a younger age now, and that makes a big difference in the women. Yeah, and even in our 15s women playing Spain the other day, I think they have a great rugby played on Ellis Park in those two tests. Yeah, it was amazing to see that. So yeah, well done on our women team.
Okay, so now we come to the real point of our discussion. You then joined the Pumas in 2008 and were there from 2008 to 2015 in your first innings, if you like. And just tell us first the challenges faced in the early days of Pumas rugby.
Yeah, you know what, when I was appointed the Pumas coach in 2008, we trained only in the evening and we only had 11 contracted players.
Was that in the days of Witbank where we used to drive past and the guys were playing in the evening?
Yeah, that was in Witbank. So what did I do? I contacted a few players who played for me at Craven Week and at Waterkloof at that stage. And so, yeah, I was driving through every evening with a combi, filling the combi up with players. And yeah, we started our first year in 2008. And what I will never forget, we got on a bus here driving down to the Sharks, and we beat the Sharks in that first opening game. Sure. And then it was still Vodacom Cup. Kiers Lensing was playing prop for the Sharks. And sure. And when we were, it was actually a big discussion on what their money was and what the Pumas' money was. And now we're getting there down in a bus and we beat them. And yeah, so yeah, we started there. And the biggest concern there was, where do you get money to contract players? How many contract players do we have? The training in the evening, is that enough? So, and then in 2009, I was fully appointed, and then we start training in the mornings, and we were 14th on the lock in the country. And then at the end of that 2009, I think, we qualified for the Currie Cup. And yeah, since then we in the Currie Cup.
Yeah, that's actually leading me on to my next question. Tell me how hard it was, obviously with that Currie Cup, always sort of changing from time to time, but your progression through the competition, I know every year it almost seemed to be different. Tell me how much of a challenge that was to stay up in the higher levels, if you like.
You know, the biggest concern of us is in a change now in the last 2-3 years, also with the amount of players you can contract. But you know what, the Pumas is the side where you know in advance at the end of the season you're going to lose this player or that player or this player. So our mindset is always, and I'm telling this to the guys, you know what, if you're that bag holder at the Bulls or the Lions, you're number 5 or number 4, come to a union where you get on the field, you get your exposure, and then you will go something as long as the team is winning. And our biggest concern is keeping our players. We don't have that big funds to lift up their salaries, and you also don't have that international competition that gives your players that exposure. And obviously, the lifespan of a rugby player is short, so if they got that opportunity, they really want to go. But our biggest thing is keeping our players, trying to getting into a better competition. And yeah, year in and year out is a struggle. And the biggest thing for me is I want the players to go somewhere, but I just don't want them to get out of a contract. They signed a contract, stick to your contract, finish it, learn something in life, what life is about. And after your contract is finished, go wherever you want to go.
So tell me, sort of going where we want to go, where we didn't want you to go, in my opinion. You then made the decision to go across to Japan. I know when we had informal chats before, you had said you were looking maybe for a new challenge overseas. Tell us a little bit more about sort of why you made the shift to Japan.
You know what, everybody's got that dream of coaching a URC team. Nowadays it was Super Rugby or a so-called big union. So every year I stuck in there and I beat some of the big teams with a lot of Springboks in them. And then the next game I fall again, and then I come back and I beat one of the big teams. So obviously I was nominated Coach of the Year twice with all the big names out of a small union. And then in 2013, I think, I was Coach of the Year on top of a lot of big names. And I still didn't get the opportunity going to a big union. But in 2013, I got an offer from Japan and I declined it. I got it in 2014 again because I wanted, maybe there's a big union that want to use me. And then it didn't happen again. And then the third offer I got from Japan, I decided, let's make this move. And I went to Japan and played the final there in the top league, the first time, I think, also in 10 years. Sure. And yeah, coming back, and I also didn't get an opportunity to play for a big union. So that then you get the message, you know what, maybe it's either you're too difficult or there's something about you that the people don't like.
Yeah, before we chat about you coming down and coaching the Sharks, tell me a little bit about how you feel Japan, and I don't know if you were over there during the World Cup, but how you feel they've progressed since that competition. Do you think, I know we chatted many years ago, not in this forum, but you said Japan rugby wasn't strong, they were just strong with passport holders. Do you feel after the World Cup it's not the same?
I think when I went there, rugby was strong. The problem with a place like Japan is they don't play it at school level. So obviously they only have clubs, and we know it's the same with Russia. If you don't play rugby from a young age and learn all the skills, it's difficult. Even in America, although they're picking up at the moment, you cannot come from gridiron going into rugby and think you're a rugby player. So yeah, obviously that's the problem in Japan. But after the World Cup, it changed immense. And yeah, the club rugby there, the level of club rugby there is very, very high. And the amount of young kids that start playing rugby, it's amazing to see how rugby grow in Japan and how they love the sport and the value they see in the game. That's why, yeah, with passport holders, it's getting stronger. But let me tell you, we have really, really good Japanese players, and they develop very well. When I was there, it was great. I think now it's even better.
Oh, that's good. I'm sure it was better for having you there, Mania. But let's find out now, what made you return to South Africa? Was it the longing of like you say, a bigger contract, or did the Pumas get hold of you? How did that come about?
I don't think you'll get a bigger contract in South Africa anyway, because Japan's contract is really big. So no, I had a 4-year deal there, and in my third year, there was rumors that the Pumas will play in a Pro 14. So obviously that was something. And then the Pumas president phoned me and asked me to come back. And I also struggled a bit with health issues. Then I had a hip replacement. So yeah, I struggled with that. So getting older was one thing, but stepped in there. Yeah. And but yeah, obviously the Pro 14 thing was the biggest thing. So I came back, and I'm still waiting for that Pro 14, and it never happened.
I told you, it's coming soon. It's coming soon. Put money on it. Then just let's focus on this last season specifically. What do you think sort of was the key to your success in the 2022 Currie Cup?
You know what? When I came back from Japan, we made we set our plans, and we made certain things we want to achieve in the 3 years. And we said in our third year, we want to win the Currie Cup. Sure. And at that stage, we still didn't know the URC is going to happen. So yeah, it was in the beginning when I came back. And in our second year last year, actually, I thought this is the year we can win the Currie Cup. So yeah, then we went down to Griquas. We draw in Griquas, and if we won that game, we were directly into the semi-final. So we draw that one, and then we had to wait for the Sharks to beat Western Province down in Durban, and then the Sharks lost that game because they were already through to the semi-final, so we lost that one. So and then we missed that. But yeah, we worked hard, and then coming into this season, we had really big issues. You know what? So what we did in the last few years, we would give players to the bigger unions. They need players, so we'll give them to play in the mid of the URC. And getting that exposure. And as soon as the Currie Cup starts, we want our players back. And then we all remember Leroux Roots, who's at the Sharks now, coming back from the Sharks, being here in the first 2 weeks, so negative. He cannot help himself because now he takes the big union setup, and the money is much higher. And then that's why we let Leroux Roots go. And then we're coming into this season, 5 of our players played for the Lions. And then they come back 2 weeks before the Currie Cup start, and then they negative because now they taste the big union setup and the URC and bigger money. And yeah, so we let those players go. So then we worried because one was our captain. So where are we going now with this? What's going to happen with this? And we struggled in the first game, and then suddenly we changed it, and we're picking it up. And yeah, it's a great. That's why the season was so emotional that people don't understand. You know, we lost our center going to Zebre because we let 4 players go to the Lions. Why can he not go? And you get that negative thing. And so yeah, I made a decision. I let them go, but I also made a decision. But I won't let players go again to a big union, um, because it is have a huge effect on a union like us. Not for letting that player go, but you get sponsors that invest in you, and they ask you how's the team, and you give him the names and you show him it's a great team, and then suddenly you let players go, and that's got an effect on the sponsors as well. And that's why people doesn't like it at the moment, because there's guys that can go to the Blitzbokke. Also the Sharks contact us for a few players because they got injuries in certain positions. But yeah, we just made a decision that we're not going to do it again, for our own team and for our sponsors' sake. You know what? You're a small union, you don't get money. So if you keep on losing, where will you get another sponsor? Yeah. So that was one of the big issues. Yeah.
Okay, lekker Jim, we're nearly going to pack this up because we can sit here and chat all, and I know you've got a practice you need to get to, and I really appreciate your time. But before we close, I know there's been a lot of talk about next year's Currie Cup, and we understand it's the oldest rugby competition in the world. What do you think is going to happen next year? Maybe you've heard, and the value of the Currie Cup. Is it going to be seen as like a B team competition, or is it going to be?
Yeah, you know what? I said I will never talk about this because of what happened with a remark somebody made. But you know what? What do people don't? No. But I will talk about it. You know, the first thing of all, people don't understand, and I'm going one step back. You know, when we played the Sharks down in Durban, and we beat them in our away game, we got on that bus 10 o'clock in that evening. We drive all the way back to Nelspruit, getting there 12 o'clock the next day. Beating Cheetahs there, getting on the bus. In the pool game, the next week, the semi-final and the final, you don't have the money to fly, stay over and fly back. So you lose 1 or 2 days in training, recovery. But anyway, when the remark come, you know, I want to focus on that because people seems to forget. Yes, the Sharks, they played with the Currie Cup side and they played URC. But the Bulls lost their first URC games and they focused on the Currie Cup. So they played the first 7-8 games with a
their
URC
full strength
team.
side. Yes.
And they were beaten by the Cheetahs. And the thing for me is, you know what's coming. So when the semi-final the Bulls got to play in the semi-final and the final for the URC, we knew that was coming. So you cannot make a change now and say it belongs in a museum. But I don't think it will ever belong in a museum, because what's happening this season, we also play in the Intercontinental Cup. And that's gonna be on the same day as the people are playing the URC.
Oh wow!
So we now also got to play with basically 2 teams, and traveling overseas and come back. So we're in the same situation as every big union at the moment. Although we're not playing that strong teams, but we're playing. And we got to travel back. So we know what's coming, but we'll make a choice. What is the most important thing for us? Is it the Currie Cup? Is it the international competition? And we'll focus on that way. So yeah, I don't know what bigger unions. Obviously, the URC is a big focus because if you win the URC, there's a lot of money involved. If you win the Currie Cup, there's no money involved. So maybe there's a chance that it will be watered down, or maybe the unions can pick it up and still try to win this. Like big unions will try to win both of them. So I think the Currie Cup is here to stay. So.
Okay, there you have it, ladies and gents, boys and girls, the man, the myth, the legend, Jimmy Stonehouse. Thank you so much for your time in here, and we hope to chat soon. And regards to everyone up there in Mpumalanga.
And just like that, we are only a few hours away from the weekend. We hope that you have enjoyed your week with us, and you'll be back again next week. Thank you to our sponsors, Lammonthein, Puzo Water, and the Hair Shack for your continued support. To our viewers and guests, thank you so much for supporting us and making this possible. We will see you back here again bright and early on Monday morning.